anything else happens here, I'll let you know.
Great. Thanks, Miles.
At least he did way better than the first time I fought the Rhino.
Yuri.
Is that all you got? I could do this all day. You haven't seen nothing yet. Come on. Better get scrambled like an egg before you get folded like an omelet.
Hey, it's me, Skaboopy, the one and only Skaboopy. After coming back from the local clinic since I was shot by you people, we finally made our way to Spider-Man for the PS4. A game that shocked me with that trailer that came out of nowhere, realizing, oh, holy cow dude, a Spider-Man game for the modern age that's free roam, and there's a bunch of costumes. Let's just say I held off hanging myself for a little while there. Now, as always, here's the text on the screen on what I think about when I'm looking at these costumes. Just thoughts, you know, something to get you thinking about the suits. Do I even follow these? Not really, but hey, it gets the brain flowing juices. Now, I can't wait to dive into my thoughts into the game and the costumes, which, by the way, in the base game, is totaling up to 28 costumes. Then 3 DLCs happened after the game launched, adding 3 new costumes from each DLC, adding up to 40 costumes. And then the game was updating, and occasionally with those updates, they gave us free costumes, ending up to a whopping 45 costumes. And then a remaster for the game came because Sony loves that money, and when a new movie for Spidey was coming out, there's just 2 more exclusive suits they added, finally adding up to 47 costumes. So, yeah, this is gonna be a long one, people. Not only do I gotta talk about these costumes, I gotta talk about my thoughts on this game beforehand, like I always do. So I hope you're settled, you're behind on your seat, or you're laying down, or you're eating, or drinking. Cause this one's gonna be a doozy, alright? Lastly, thank you to anybody who joined the stream and watched as I replayed this game. It was a lot of fun, talking to some people and to myself. I want to try to stream often, so check me out on here or on Twitch. Maybe one day I'll get my name without a dumb E in it, so help me out and follow me there on Twitch. Alright, gotta ramble about how much I like this game, so let's do that first. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm live action right now, I'm taking my GTA 5's persona in place. Also, I think he got into an accident or something, I don't know. Hey, let me get some of those chocolate Rice Krispie treats. On the double stat.
Get out!
Oh.
You cannot bring mad.
1043. We haven't.
There's the reservoir. No sign of Scorpion. Better take a closer look.
Huh.
Now, if I was a mercenary dressed like a scorpion, who would I be?
Holy shit! I didn't know the Scorpion had missiles. Fuck! I like this game. A lot. Like, a lot. No! I love the gameplay. The story. God, I just wanted to like kick me in the face, dude. The traversal. Wait. Fuck. No. No, wait. Oh yeah.
Now's my chance.
Where's the helicopter? This really is a good Spider-Man game. I'm also saying that because the last Spider-Man game was The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Jesus Christ, that game is a mess compared to this beautiful gift. I'm glad the story went so well as it did. It was so cool seeing Dr. Octopus as this like huge threat later in the game, because he's a serious threat and is treated as such. Plus remixing him as someone close to Peter in the first half of the game, that was cool. Even if you knew he was going to be Dr. Octopus at some point, it was still cool seeing it building up over time. The missions were a bunch of fun with some cool set pieces. We get to see a lot of characters brought in here. They got to have fun including nods here and there, you know, alluding to the fact that there's this larger Marvel universe. Even bringing in some cool villains like Taskmaster, where Insomniac does the man-bat jump scare from Arkham Knight, but in Spider-Man form. Oh! Jesus! Don't lie to me. You got startled the first time this happened to you. You were not expecting to be caught in the air while swinging high above between buildings, only to be kidnapped and then fight fucking Taskmaster. He should come get me. Ah! Unlike another game, wink wink nudge nudge, it's cool to fight Taskmaster not only once but twice, even if, you know, you might overpower him a little bit, but hey, it's still really cool. Also real quick, I didn't notice, but apparently he also watches you from like afar in certain challenges. I didn't know that. I had no idea until I was just looking up like videos and shit. Like, what? That's so cool. My only pet peeve is that you can't replay missions. I thought you could, but you can't, which sucks. It would have been really handy to get footage and to relive the cool missions like the truck mission or the raft one, but sadly, no. Oh well, let's talk about the fighting though. The combat in this game is very solid too, and does it well enough. I do not miss the combat from the last game. Unlike the Arkham games where you can get a counterattack, you dodge in this one and have the choice of counterattacking yourself or to continue to move around, zipping between enemies, bouncing off of thugs. Whoa! Jesus Christ. Doing some cool finishers. My favorite one is where Spidey just out of nowhere, frame one, immediately throws a punch into another punch into a kick. My favorite other finisher is where Spidey does a spin into a kick, and the game has this bug, right, where it doesn't go into the cinematic mode for the finisher, so you can still move your camera around if you wanted to, but it just has this cool effect. And the only other finisher that has the same bug is the Hurricanrana, which is also another good one too. And while I'm editing this, just to quickly note about the dodging is that most of the time it works, but the 15%, it doesn't work because you will still get hit when you dodge. Or like a stray bullet will just hit you for no reason, even though there isn't a reticle. It's very weird. It's very finicky. Come on, man. But it works, so I can't really complain. Besides that, I like the stealth sections. You know me, I'm a bit of a big stealth guy, so I like it in this game, you know. And most of the time, you can just ignore stealth if you want to, except for like the challenges or in like a mission or two. But yeah. And then for this guy, we can do a bit of this. And let me just finish this segment off with the swinging. This swinging is so much fun. It's a little easier, and Spider-Man's just flipping on his own, using both hands or one. You can do tricks too, except there's only just 4 sadly, but hey. It's kind of like the equivalent on how I feel about GTA. Sometimes I just want to boot up GTA to drive around in, but in this case, you know, I'd re-download Spider-Man just to swing around. It's just that fun, and if a game can make you re-download it just to do something fun that you missed, then hey, they did something right, okay? Of course, there are some flaws, like you can't run down buildings, only to the side or up. I kind of wish there were more things to like zip through and swing by. I never felt compelled to swing underneath a water tower or something like that. And when I wanted to do so, the chance never came up to like zip through other like things that the game has. And the parkour, which isn't related to swinging but still very underutilized, which is such a shame because I remember watching the trailer. I remember seeing Spidey running through that restaurant. I thought we could do that while stopping crime or something, but nah. If anything, the swinging and the game as a whole really lays the foundation that Insomniac can work towards improving in the sequel, which is already out, so I'm really excited to see what they've done, because as much as I love this game, God, I just want some things to be better. Overall, this game is a banger and a welcome introduction for people new to Spider-Man. It's fun, there's stuff to do, the DLC gives you more to do even though the story's like, whatever. It just means you get to swing out some more and get even more costumes. Which, by the way, the whole purpose of this video boils down to. And this game did not skimp away from adding a cacophony of suits. So, let's get into it.
This means too much to me! You knew
Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for. I know you skipped here, you son of a bitch, and I don't blame you. There's 47 goddamn costumes, and we're not gonna get through it meandering. However, I'm gonna continue to meander a little bit more. Real quick, give me a sec. Firstly, we're going to go through the base game first. All the costumes that came with the game on day 1, and all the unlockables, in order. Then we're gonna go through the game's DLC costumes, because those came monthly after the game's release, which the game released in September. So from October, it released the first DLC, from then on to November, releasing the second DLC, until concluding in December with the final DLC. And finally, the free suits that were given through updates on the game until the final PS4 update, and then when the movie No Way Home was coming out, updating to give 2 more suits only in the remastered version, which brings an end to the game as a whole. Oh, and I'm gonna do a tier list of every suit power after talking about each costume, just to, you know, keep you more stimulated and engaged with the video, but loading this video much more for your sake. That's the plan and we're gonna stick with it. So on September 7th of 2018, the game was released, and the first suit we wear for starting the game is already a really strong note. Before we even get to the main suit of this game, you know, the whole marketing that's surrounding the white spider look that this game was advertising, we get to wear this Spidey's version of his classic suit beforehand, and it's so good. You just look at this and you're like, oh, it's Spider-Man. They recreated the classic look pretty good, so I can't really talk much about this costume that I haven't already said many times before, so sorry, but it is a good suit. The only thing that throws me off, and this goes for the advanced suit as well, is that the red has this orange hue that I'm not entirely a fan of. The blue, perfect, but the weird color choice of the main color, while in certain scenes look good, it looks, you know, red, it kind of throws me off when this orange decides to like shine through. You could totally ignore it though. It will make you tilt your head, but you could ignore it. Besides that, they opted to use lenses that move, you know, that squint or like narrow its eyes to show more motion, like the MCU Spider-Man. I like it. I made my case with enjoying lenses that are just static, that don't move before in another video, but I don't hate the moving lenses. I felt like they used to be unique, but now it feels like it's everywhere, although that could just be me, you know, being silly and stupid. Other than that, I love this suit, and I want to quickly note, like, another favorite thing is, you know, you can see between his neck, right? You know, the separation between his mask and, like, the rest of his body. I like that detail, you know? So yeah, this costume is a 9. The only thing holding me back is the red. Either way, I love putting this thing on and wear it around. It's just a good, simple, classic look. Oh, and with the classic look, once you unlock it again, of course, you get my favorite ability that I use pretty much all the time, the Web Blossom. Hey, wait a minute.
Mess with the amazing spider!
Super useful to web literally everyone surrounding you. Even better when you got like walls or cars or whatever for these goons to get stuck onto. The only caveat being is that you're still vulnerable. So when you jump in the air and someone immediately begins to target you with their gun, you're gonna get riddled with bullets. Or you can get hit, which kinda sucks. Regardless, I think if you time it just in time, just right, it's still a really great ability to get immediately. So it's an S tier. Now what if you took the classic suit and rough it up? Now we're talking. I'm not sure if anybody remembered me glazing the damage suit in Enter Electro a while ago, but I just love when costumes get damaged through a difficult fight. I find it much more compelling than not getting hit at all, and this suit sort of accomplishes that. My favorite thing to do when I played this game a bunch was wear the classic suit in the beginning of the raft level, then around the middle or so before you chase Electro maybe, I'd put on that damage suit to sort of simulate that he's getting beaten up over time. He looks really cool, and then after the raft level was ended, I would then proceed to play the third act of the game wearing the damaged look. It kind of reminded me of the Arkham games. It's a really neat, like, little experience to do, and it's really badass. Now, I do like this damage costume. However, I just wish there was more, like more cuts, some damage to the mask, maybe some damage across his back. There are cuts here and there, which I appreciate, of course, especially the gashes on his chest, but I just wish this costume was more torn. Just a bit. Not super crazy, just a bit. You're probably gonna say, but Skaboopy, all that happened to him was he was slammed and then thrown through a wall. But just look at the remastered version of Spider-Man. They turned the damage suit up to the perfect amount, I'd say. The cuts on his chest are more open, torn to show more of his skin along with the rest of the cuts being slightly more stretched out. The suit feels bruised and scuffed with the black smudges. Not too dusty either, unlike the PS4 version, which is kinda dusty, but again he was thrown through a concrete wall. It makes me honestly jealous that I didn't bother to get the remastered version of the game just so I could wear that suit around, especially during the RAV section. With that, I'm gonna rate the PS4 damage suit a 7. It accomplished what it did, and I still like to wear it from time to time, but not often. The remastered version, on the other hand, that's gonna be a 9 for me. I just wish there was more scuffness on his mask, or some cuts that show a little bit more blood, but other than that, it's a good costume. We made it. We finally made it to such a unique costume for Spider-Man that for sure had weirded me out, and maybe some of you when that trailer dropped. But over time, and with playing the game of course, I just love this costume so much. I'm so glad it's so unique that it cemented this Peter into popularity, from being in the Spider-Geddon event and across the Spider-Verse. His designation is Earth 1048, by the way. He, of course, you know, showed up in Across the Spider-Verse, but previously before that, he showed up in a comic called Spider-Geddon, with the Superior Spider-Man recruiting him to fight the Inheritors. Kinda funny, he teamed up with essentially Dr. Octopus, who stole Spider-Man's body, right? Now, this is either canon or it isn't. Maybe it is, and it just, you know, happened and it's never brought up. Or this guy is just from an identical Earth, like, let's call it 1048B, and yeah. That's kind of my explanation, how I see it. You know, probably not original, but I hope that quenches somebody's like confusion. I hope at least. Oh yeah, anyways, the costume. I love this costume. The white weirded me out. I wasn't sure how to feel, but once Peter puts this thing on and swings around in it, it looks cool and slick as hell. I love the lore reasons too for the white padding being the strongest parts of the costume. So it being around his fists and feet is just adding extra oomph to whoever gets hit. The white also just pops out and follows the trend of this lengthy, big-armed spiders that you typically see from the Spider-Man in the movies. My favorite thing about the spider logo on the front is that it breaks out from the chest, so it seeps all along the blue too. The only two nitpicks that I have is the goddamn orange hue. It throws you off, man, like why? I don't like it. And the other nitpick is very minor, it's just the weird, you know, cut on his sleeve. Like I don't think that was necessary. It's just whatever. I'm just tired of this trend of cutting up the sleeves on Spider-Man's arms, okay? So yeah, I'm gonna give it another easy 9. It could have been a 10 if the red was better, but oh well. I like wearing this costume a lot despite there being 47 other ones. I just like coming back to this one. Oh, and with the suit comes the power battle focus. I think it's an underrated superpower because in theory, if you're low on your bar, you just pop this sucker and start refilling again at a decent rate. Mixing in with some punches and some, like, you know, gadgets, you know, you're gonna refill that sucker up a lot. And when you have it refilling at a constant rate, you can like throw out a lot more finishers too. Or if you're like really low on health, you can just re-heal yourself a lot. So again, hypothetically and in theory, it is a good superpower, but I barely use it and I kind of just ignore it and like refill my focus just by playing the game normally, and I just use other effective superpowers. So I'm gonna put this at the lower end of S. I can see the promise, but I don't use it. Alrighty then, we're on to actual costumes, and the next one on the list is Spider-Man Noir, one of my favorite Spider-Man in the multiverse. Taking place during the Great Depression, it was a fun read too. Not only that, he looks sick as hell, with his own unique look beholden of the era he's from. Now sadly, I already talked a bunch why I like this guy in 2 videos before, so I don't really have all that much to say when it comes to Noir. Besides, you know, saying he looks cool and shit. Insomniac did do their own thing by adding some new stuff. This isn't the Shattered Dimensions Noir, which I like a lot, but you know, this guy is really cool too. It feels a little more accurate to how he's portrayed in the comic. I like that the collars popped more, his pants are still poofy but look like the trousers you'd buy in an old New York. There's a neat little spider on his buckle. They gave him web shooters, although this guy actually has organic webbing, so I wouldn't have minded if they didn't give him web shooters, but whatever. His mask, of course, is the most striking part of this guy. The highlight, I'd say, of Spider-Man Noir. And he has this gray mouthpiece, which I'm pretty sure has always been there. But in this game, for me, it strikes out for me, because I've never really noticed him having this gray mouth area on him. I don't mind it at all, but at certain lighting, it does kind of light up for whatever reason. But you know, it's cool, it's good, I like it. And if you know how this mask was made, kind of just makes this whole costume in general a more cooler experience, where Peter reuses Uncle Ben's goggles and such from his time in the war, even using his revolver too to become the Spider-Man. I like to think the revolver on his hip is the same one as Uncle Ben's, but it could be any gun. Like just a nod that this Spider-Man doesn't fuck around, and when worse comes to worse, he will shoot you. I really like that about this Spider-Man, you know, compared to other Spider-Man who are willing to kill. But yeah, I'm gonna give this guy a 10. Although I would drop it at a 9 if the Spider-Man 2 has a better version of Spider-Man Noir. So for now, this is a 10, but it will drop to a 9 if the second game has a better version. And just a quick thing to note, even though I like the gun on his hip, I feel like it just kind of obstructs the whole costume. Like, I understand it's a nod, but you know, if you're not gonna use it, then why is it there in the first place? You know, but that's just how I feel towards costumes, of course. But it's not going to change how I feel. It's a 10. Hey though, with the Noir suit comes with the Sound of Silence power. Enemies can no longer call for backup, and I think your attacks are silenced now. I think I'm lying on that part. But either way, this power is really handy when it comes to the Taskmaster missions. It is really useful and makes those missions much more easier. However, other than that, this power is pretty much useless. I still like it though. It's very cool, makes everything black and white, and it's very handy when it comes to the Taskmaster challenges, so it's gonna be an A. Here's another fan favorite, the Scarlet Spider suit, and of course it would have made a return, and here he is. Being able to swing around in this costume as a whole is really cool. They added some new stuff like adding some lines around the parts of the red. Thankfully it's not distracting or too much. And I don't mind there being something on the red this time. However, I do mind it on another costume, but we'll get there when we get there. Besides that, it's the Scarlet Spider look. I love when you zoom in close to this guy, he's got some nice textures on him. Not to forget the main attraction of this guy is his sleeveless hoodie, where the spider logos are more so graffitied onto his chest and back. Plus I love the way his drawstrings flow around. I just wish the hoodie would move or bounce a little too. And then there's the part of the costume that's not my favorite, which is the big wrist shooters and ankle pouches. I get it, it's a part of his design or whatever. Listen, I just got around to liking this big capsule web shooters around his wrist. I actually like him now, okay? But I still do not like the pouches around his ankle. They just feel silly to me. And if you take them off, I would like this costume even more. Besides that, this is just another solid costume. You can feel that there's this red suit underneath and Ben threw on a blue hoodie on top to make himself stand out more.
That's all of them.
Oh, fuck. This will be a 8. An 8 fits this guy, yeah. And with the Scarlet Spider suit, you get the Hollow DK suit power, or whatever it's called. Basically you summon holographic clones to distract the enemies, and they burst electricity sometimes when they get close or whatever. It's okay. It does distract the enemy sometimes, but you know, when an enemy is locked onto you, they're locked onto you. But it's not that bad of an ability. And it does change when you have different costumes, so like you'll have like other different noirs or whatever the hell. It's not that bad of a superpower, but there are better options, and yeah, this one's just kind of, you know, funny and it's a reference. So I'm gonna put that at a C. Okay, they call this costume the Spider Armor MK2, which is fitting because this is technically the second spider armor that Peter wore, but we know it as the bulletproof suit. I've definitely glazed this costume a lot, and it's for good reason because I love how slick this guy looks. Now, in the past, he had a more matte look, which I prefer, but in this game, they gave him this shiny, glossy look on certain part of the suit, which I don't mind either. Yet, now that I'm looking at this costume a lot more, you know, I kind of start to find myself not as interested anymore as I was in the past. It's just alright. In the Aging of Time video, the lighting and the way he looked was just really badass, but, you know, in this game, it feels turned down, more akin to how he's kind of like portrayed in the comics kind of feel, which is fine, but, you know, it's just the yellow isn't very vibrant as much as I think it could be. And even though his entire body isn't, you know, this glossy look, it's still fine. However, I do feel like it kind of clashes a little bit, especially when you have his helmet, this, you know, shiny ass head, but his upper body is just, you know, this normal, you know, look. And speaking of this guy's head, I don't like the way his head shines, like King Neptune. And his eyes, I don't really like either, especially how it wraps around his scalp like that. It just looks, you know, silly around his head like that. I don't know. Other than that though, I like the gray with the black glossy padding around parts of him, like on his shoulders. My favorite part of this costume has always been the collar popped around his neck. You know, always thought it looked badass, and despite the yellow not looking flashy, I still like how edgy and the way it travels, you know, throughout his costume. For me, I feel this costume will stick to a 7. I don't really ever find myself putting it on anyways. But, you know, if you do, if you have, I definitely understand. Because no matter what, this guy is just slick. Now, of course, for the suit power, the bulletproof suit gets the bulletproof power, allowing you to be protected by bullets and even snipers. Now, here comes the 3 suit powers that protect you like this. And I never use them. Because in a game with dodging and stuff, if you would see an indicator that you're gonna get hit or shot, you just dodge. Simple as that. So I never really use these. I mean, I get it though. It is handy because sometimes you will get shot even if you dodge. So maybe popping this would help. But even then, just, you know, keep dodging around. And the footage you're watching right now, I popped this and literally nobody's shooting at me. So like, sometimes you just have to either not use it ever or when it's too late. So I'm gonna put this guy to C. So there are better options.
Humans need to get at Grand Central.
What the?
Son of a bitch. Okay, I don't like this costume. I'll keep it a $150 with you. I never have, and I don't think I ever will. I feel it's a wasted slot for a costume that literally appeared like once or like never. And you don't even get a good look of it at all in those very short, brief appearances. I feel there are cooler, stealthier, darker, competitive looks that Spidey can wear in this game that aren't this swimsuit looking shit, okay? My pet peeve has always been this main part of this body. Like, I never understood why this black and blue exists on this guy, because underneath it, I could imagine what this costume could look like. With this black and orangish red webbing, right? Imagine that just being, you know, his entire look, right? But they threw this wetsuit piece onto him, taking up most of the black and orangish red webbing. And to be fair, I do like the color of the blue, but I just don't see it meshing well. And I don't like the big blue spider on his back either, okay? I see what they're trying to go for. They try to make Spider-Man but different, but in my opinion, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I'm just gonna put this guy at a 4. Of course, the things I only like about this guy is the webbing and the black and how his lenses pop out more. If I wanted a Spider-Man costume with the stuff I liked from this, Miles Morales literally exists and he's got a baller costume. So I can't complain, I guess. Well, I may not like the costume, but the suit power is surprisingly handy. It's called Arms Race. An EMP blast that electrocutes enemies and disables weapons, like a shockwave that allows you to stun practically all enemy types. And the cool thing is, this sucker refills really quickly, so you can pop this thing a bunch of times throughout a fight. For a shit costume, it has a surprisingly useful power. Huh. So this thing is gonna be maybe between the Web Blossom and the Battle Focus at S. I still like the instant kill power of the Web Blossom, but I can't lie that this power is good. Alrighty then, we're finally onto a new costume. And it's the Stark suit, or Homecoming suit, or whatever. Let's just say when I saw that Civil War trailer for the first time, and I saw this guy land, I may have peed a little. I always love the way this costume look, and I don't really mind the black bands, but it can be a bit much, I will say. Overall though, I love the color choice. I think they decided to add this rosy, pinkish red on this suit in this game, and it makes me feel fuzzy looking at it. Also, I'm pretty sure this guy is the reason we have the moving lenses too. And not to forget, of course, the logos, which I love the back logo, bringing that fat spider finally into the big screen, and it's got its own unique design. Although I do wish the front logo was a little big, like it was tiny in Civil War, but they tweaked it in Homecoming and this game, which, you know, it's fine. Now, when we talk about this costume, we have to bring up the other, in my opinion, better version of the suit, which is the Avengers Campus design. And by golly, that design is honestly better, and something I wish we got to swing around in. The spider on his chest is the right big, his arms, holy shit, aren't segmented or interrupted, and look, it looks so much better. Yet we only ever get to see this design in the What If episode with the zombies, and he doesn't even wear his goddamn mask. Only once. I mean, I get it, why does he need to wear the mask when the zombie apocalypse is happening? Shut up. With that quick ran out of the way, I like this interpretation and remix of the classic style. It's fun to wear in this game, and like I said, I like the inclusion of the black bands, but man, that Avengers Campus design. And also, I would prefer if Spider-Man would actually, you know, make his own goddamn costume. But you know, that's just something else. That's just something else entirely. Ignoring that part, this will be innate for me. And with the Stark suit brings the Spider Bro power, summoning a spider drone that shoots electricity at enemies while you fight. Now at first I didn't find why I would need to use it, but after some fights with this activated, it's really good. It just flies around shocking everybody, and the electricity just goes from one enemy to another and just keeps shooting, and it sometimes just finishes the enemies for you. I think I'm gonna put the Spider Bro at an S above the Battle Focus. Like, it's a really solid power that I thought was useless, but nope, it's really good. It's really handy. Here we have the Negative Zone suit. Or negative suit, I guess, because it's just a recolor of the advanced suit. This is gonna be kind of an easy one because it's just a recolor, and it kind of ties in perfectly with one of the main bad guys of this game, and I understand why this choice makes sense. There's some cool coloring going on here, with the back logo emanating some blue, with the front logo as well. Not only that, where the white padding was is this sort of black glossy look now. I like that. Except for the gloves where it's more of gray now, but yeah, you know, I don't really care. And I just love this like white cloudy look as well that replaces the blue. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I can really say. I mean, I like it. It's got like a cool neon look to it. And yeah, what else do you want me to say? I don't find myself ever wearing this costume, but I do appreciate it. It's literally just a perfect 7 to me. It's a neat costume. Very vibrant with the white. I like the blue webbing going on. It's good. Anyways, with this suit though, you get the negative shockwave. It's kinda underwhelming, but after doing some more testing, it's actually not that bad. It's just a shockwave, you punch your fist in the ground and you send like just, you know, a wave around you, sending enemies back and stuff. That's alright. You can also do it in the air as well, like the stop move you acquire when you level up. There's just a better suit power that does what this is trying to do, but like overwhelmingly better. But hey, if you like this, I get it. It's cool. He punches his fist to the ground. It's got that going on. I'm gonna put it at a B, at a high B. Another one we've talked about a handful of times before. I won't yap on about suits I've already talked to death about, as you've noticed, but this is a good costume. I like the red padding, and this suit gives me the feel that this version of Spider-Man built this to fight Electro at some point in time. I like that headcanon of mine. I like the addition of the armor padding around his thigh and under his arm, and I've always liked that this guy had a unique logo on him too. I think that's pretty interesting. But overall, yeah, I don't really have all that much to say about this costume. It was fun to fight Electro in this thing, I guess. Honestly, it's just another 7 to me, another neat costume that I don't wear, but I like and appreciate. But the suit power that comes with this costume is pretty useful, I will say, and fun. The electric punch. Allows you to punch enemies with electricity. Blood thinks he's Batman or something. This suit power is, like I said, pretty fun, and is able to pretty much punch anybody, stunning enemies around. It's really not that bad, and I like punching dudes with electricity. And it refuels at a decent rate. I think I'm gonna put this above Spider Bro at an S. That feels fitting. It's really, this power, very good. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've never really put on this costume until now, and I feel stupid, because this is definitely one of the best costumes in this game. Not only does he look cool, but he is pretty sick himself as well. Hobie Brown, who originates from the Earth 138, comes from a sort of dystopian world where he fights against the big wigs and oppression, with the power of rock and roll. He leads the Spider Army while playing guitar in a band called the Spider Slayers. Plus, he beheaded Norman Osborn's head with his guitar, so that was fucking rad. You can honestly tell that when Insomniac were making this game, and they were deciding which costumes to add, that this was one of them. They put some love into this suit. From the buttons on his jacket, to his suit power, it looks hella rad. Can we just talk about the jacket though? I love it. It gives me Delsin Rowe vibes from Infamous Second Son. If you get a side angle, the jacket puffs out looking badass. Oh, and the letter on his back. FNSM is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I also like the design of the suit underneath. Honestly, if he didn't have the jacket, this costume would have been, you know, okay. But it's literally the perfect topping that brings this costume together. I do especially love the way the white pops. Oh, and I gotta talk about his unique web shooters. Connecting to the spiky bracelet. Then you got his scuffed ass shoes. With the spikes on top of his head, you got a punk looking Spider-Man. I never thought I'd love this costume that much, to be honest with you, but once I started wearing it around, using the suit power, the cool ass jacket, the vibes dude, I'm gonna put this thing straight to a 10. Oh, and the suit power on this guy, Rockout, is surprisingly really good. Like useful, and probably better than the Web Blossom, because not only does it have a big AoE, but it charges fast as hell. So you can pop the soccer a bunch and it stuns the enemies around you too when you activate it. So not only is it useful, but it looks cool too. Easy S, and I think I'm gonna put it above the Web Blossom. Who would have thought there was a better superpower than the Web Blossom? And when I found out, I just replaced the Web Blossom with Rockout. It's just that good. The wrestler suit is just a little fun costume, Insomniac's take on what this Peter wore when he went to go wrestle. This suit is actually in the intro. See, look, you can see it on the wall there. It's been there all along. Not only that, but this design is pretty much inspired by the Ultimate Spider-Man wrestler costume he wore. I am again reminded how weak the costumes were in Ultimate Spider-Man. That was a video. I just love how campy this costume is. I like that his mask is a wrestler's mask with an overall blue look instead of the red. The white lenses having a dotted design if you look close enough, and I like how the red around his eyes are rather large. I like his sweater having the logos on his chest and back plastered on it with like some graffiti, or he probably took like multiple Sharpies to draw it out. That works too. But I don't know what else to note about the costume because it's kind of a basic look. He's got some unique shoes, and I kinda wished he had gloves to wear instead of showing his bare paws. Overall though, what I'm really hanging on to is the mask and the spider logos. Besides that, I don't really care all that much sadly. At least it's more colorful than his actual wrestler suit he first wore that was even used in Edge of Time. Surprisingly enough. Check that video out by the way. So I'll give it a 6. Makes me miss using the human spider costume in Spider-Man 1, but I will admit it was fun swinging around in this costume. It was just campy. Perfect word to describe this guy. Sadly, his suit power, King of the Ring, isn't all that great. It allows you to web throw enemies without needing to web them up or anything. So for example, those big guys, no need. But like, whatever. Why would you need to web throw those big guys anyways? Or any enemies when you're far too busy dodging and using the environment around you to use and web throw instead? And if you're using gadgets like the web shooters often, or hell even the web bomb, enemies are gonna get webbed up. Like the big dudes, for an easy takedown. And not to mention the countless other cooler useful suit powers, brings this one down to a D for me. It's a kind of funny power like haha get swung around, but just like web them up man. And then use any other far better suit powers. I'm just saying it sucks. Alright, I'm pretty sure many of you, myself included, wasn't sure what this suit even was. Like, he definitely is blue.
Why are you blue?
So if you're wondering what's going on here, essentially there was this whole ass event called Fear itself, where practically the entire world was thrown into chaos, you know, a normal Tuesday in the Marvel Universe. The gods left us, Spider-Man. We're on our own. Huh? Stuff like when the Winter Soldier was Captain America, he got killed, Captain America's shield was fucking shattered, but then he picked up Mjolnir, so everybody rallied behind him fighting Nazi robots and a giant serpent. All the while, Iron Man was busy in Asgard, using their forge, fusing Stark technology and Uru, the same material that's from Thor's hammer, to make some weapons that have been blessed by Odin, so when using them, they'll activate, and maybe transform you. In Spider-Man's case, with his gauntlets, he gets a cool neon look, which he presumably gets from shooting his web shooters, or something. So whoa, that's cool. What else can he do? He only wears it very briefly for a few pages, and that was it. Now that you understand why he's like this, it's a pretty cool design. He's very bright, even in the daytime, but as you can imagine, he looks much better during the night. And while I don't really like having like lines on a costume, I actually like it on here. These bright white lines tracing through his body. And if you take a closer look, there's these cool scales on him that I really like. It really makes you feel this guy is literally made out of the same material that's made out of these god weapons, like Mjolnir. Now I always thought the gauntlets were kind of obtrusive, but now that I understand the reason he activates this form, I guess it makes it cooler. Plus, if you have the suit power that comes with the costume, this really makes you feel powerful. Like you're wearing some actual Odin god tier armor and punching with said god power. Overall though, I like this costume. I'll throw it into a 7. I think it's neat with the neon aesthetic going on. Like I said, he was shown like very briefly wearing it in the event itself, so it is nice to be able to wear it around in a whole ass game. Looping back around to the suit power, it's called quad damage. And it does what it says. Your entire lower arm engulfs into this electric blue flame, boosting your damage so much that you could literally one-punch enemies. So when you're a higher level or the max level, you're just taking one goon down after another after another. However, it does run out, and when it does, it takes a bit to recharge. Is this satisfying? Oh yeah. But man, when you have some powers that are charged faster, it makes me put this at an A. It's good. It allows you to take threats down super quick, and it is super useful in the task master challenges. But other powers I find more useful, better, and charge faster. But I don't blame you if you're wrong with this thing, because it is good. So A tier feels right. This costume just keeps on coming back, and I don't mind. I've already said my piece, you know, red does that, green does that, yada yada, but Insomniac decided to add some new flair into this costume, so it's not entirely just black and green. They added some padding like the green ones on his shoulders or knees, the same materials are on his hands, with some added black lining. Also, is it just me or is this costume actually green? I swear to god, I think I'm just colorblind to the color green. and it's starting to scare me. I don't really know what else to say because I had to talk about this costume for the third time now. It's a good costume, feels awesome to run around during the night, plus using it for stealth feels good. It's a solid 9 for me, maybe a 10, I don't know. The suit power, however, I feel is rather useless. It's called blur projection, and the description says it can obscure you from non-alerted enemy visions. So if you're already alerted and you pop this, they're still gonna come after you. So don't use this during combat, it's worthless. But what about stealth? Well, it's just a static bubble that stays there. So let's say you pop this, you take the guy out, but the other enemies are all the way somewhere you gotta swing over, so you just leave the bubble. What's the fucking point? I don't think I need to get footage just to try out my theory, okay? I'm making a new tier, it's F. An armor used to fight the Sinister Six, the Ends of the Earth suit, or as the game calls it, the Spider Armor MK3 suit, is some good looking armor. I love the choice of this gray blue that's on his shoulders, arms, and belt that coincides with the red and the black. I like his angry looking eyes with this cool blue. The same blue lights up on some of his costume a bit too. And there's this cool pentagon powder on the red. But not only that, he's got this cool collar that pops up underneath the helmet with a zipper. I'd never noticed that on this costume before, but I definitely like it. The only thing I never found myself really liking is the bulky, jutting spider on his back. Other than that though, if you like armored looks, then this one has always been a great costume that does it. I'll give it an 8. Sorry if I didn't felt like talking much about this costume, but I do like it, and sometimes I don't want to pick stuff out and be like, oh, look at that and look at that, ooh. Even though I may have done that a bit before, but you know, I don't want to keep doing that. I really try not to, but oh well. Now the suit power that comes with the suit is titanium alloy plates, which will protect you from bullets except snipers. So what makes this better than the bulletproof power? Well, this one actually ricochets the bullets back at the enemies, so that's kinda cool. However, if you remember what I said about the bulletproof power and you're like me who finds it better to just keep dodging and moving around, or see any benefit, because when you're in a fight and the guys with the guns are trying to shoot at you, I feel it's important to take them out first, then, you know, attack the enemies who are unarmed. So as you can see, I never really use these powers. But I get it, it's kinda cool. It's just better to just use the other powers and dodge. So I'm just gonna put it next to the bulletproof power at C. They're both tied, although the idea of ricocheting bullets is tempting. It's just not that useful in the long run, I feel. Just take out the gun guys first and don't leave them around. Now here comes a really solid costume, the 2099 look of Miguel O'Hara. Unlike the games in the past were using the Shattered Dimensions look, which I love by the way, Insomniac actually went for a look based more so accurately from the comics. Going so much to say that they actually emphasized it as the black suit. Even though if you're not deaf like me, then you can clearly see that this guy's blue. Well, that's because in the comics, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, he's noted to be a man in black. He only really looks blue because of all the lighting around him. Kinda like the same effect on Venom back in the day. Also, important to mention again that the whole reason he has this costume is because he went to a Day of the Dead festival wearing this suit. Like apparently he had this whole fit on cause why not? He just wanted to go all out apparently. Okay. Either way, it's such a cool fucking look for Spider-Man from the future. As much as I love the edged, Shattered Dimensions look, I do love this more accurate depiction of the blue or black, I guess. Plus the way his eyes are shaped are so cool, so menacing with his talons and sharp arm blades, and I just love the red spider on his chest. I just love the design so much. Now there are some darker glossy blues thrown in there, but it's not that noticeable unless you look at it. However, as you can tell, there's nothing on this guy's back. Shattered Dimensions gave him a tiny little back logo, but it's missing now finally. Now it took me this long to realize, oh wait, he had some like webbing, kind of like a cape on his back in place of a spider, and I guess that couldn't be done sadly for this guy, so there's just nothing. Nothing? It does feel empty back there, and I could just imagine what he'd look like with the cool tattered web cape. Maybe one day. With that, this will be a solid 9 for me. Just wish the cape would have been there. Now what's the superpower that comes with this guy? Well, it's low gravity, and it recharges super quickly. So what's the downside? It's awful. Basically, you activate this thing and you stay floating in the air longer. It doesn't even last that long. The idea is that you stay in the air and you web pull enemies up to you, but like, who cares, man? It's so not good. But hey, I bet this sounds fun while swinging. It'll be like gliding, and kinda. But again, it doesn't last that long, and you glide for a little bit before you're plummeting to the ground or you upswing. It's pretty lame and deserves the F tier. Oh boy, here we have a new costume that originally was teased in Homecoming and then probably shown in Infinity War. It's basically the Iron Spider suit from the comics. However, that one is more so Iron Man themed. This one is more so Spider-Man themed. Now when I first saw this in theaters, I thought it was cool, you know, suit up for space to fight Thanos and shit. He's got the arms, alright. But holy hell dude, over time I slowly, but surely, started disliking this costume. First of all, the colors are so dull, it's so muted, like the blue is darker with some random lines along there, cause why not? But for the red to be a duller, darker tone too? Like what? And they never did anything crazy or something cool if they were gonna bring the Iron Spider to the big screen, like changing his eyes maybe, or something, but no. It's the same shape as the Homecoming suit, at least it's lit up blue. And the only other thing I like about this costume is surprisingly the gold trimming, cause they actually kinda stand out and look cool to me. Other than that though, I don't care about this costume. There is just so much and nothing going on at the same time with this guy. You wanna know the funny thing? Well, there's two good jokes here actually. In Marvel Rivals, they brought the suit to the game and it looks so much better. The colors aren't dull but instead are just popping. I'd still rather not wear it, but I can't lie, he looks cool. Oh, and the second funny thing is they call it the No Way Home suit, even though this is the No Way Home suit, that's the Iron Spider suit. Are you calling it the No Way Home suit because he appeared once in the movie fighting Doc Ock? So what, you're gonna call this costume the Far From Home suit too? I'm gonna stick this dude out of 5. It's okay. I don't hate it as much as other people do, and some people do like this costume, which I also get. But I already said my piece, and like I just don't like this costume. But it's just a 5. This thing is a piece of nanotechnology bullshit that I don't want anymore. But hey, at least the suit power is cool. The Iron Arms. 4 spider arms sticking out of his back, being able to send enemies flying, and going through shielded enemies and the big guys. It's a lot of fun. It has its own moves, my favorite being the cool front flip attack in the air, plus it's cool to swing around with the arms out. The only problem is the charge time. It takes a while so you don't really get to use it often as much as you'd like to, which is why I'm going to stick it to an A tier. It is really cool as much as I want to put it into S, but there are just better powers. Now here we have an original design made for the game, the Velocity suit. It even has its own comic where Spider-Man builds the suit in order to catch up with a speedster. So yeah, he's like Quicksilver, I guess. Now I never once used this costume, I can confidently say. I just unlocked it and moved on, but it's a decent costume. I do like the eyes on this guy, however they look grey and blocky from afar, but are tinted blue and shaped nicely if you look close enough. The blue is kind of okay and so is the red on this guy. However, the red looks kinda cool and pops if you look close enough. And I like the light blue traveling through his body with the back logo having this big lit up spider, but the front logo has this rectangular chest design which I don't really like. But if you look close enough, never mind, I still don't like it. Overall though, I never found myself liking this costume. I mean, when I wore it for the Shocker mission, it was pretty cool because it was actually, you know, visually interesting. Also, the backlight lights up, but on the front it doesn't for some reason. That just feels strange and like inconsistent and silly. But I don't know, man. I was going to rag on this costume, but it's so strange. Like I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. So I'm just gonna put it at a 6. I guess. I feel that's where it fits because I definitely can imagine some people liking this costume, but I just don't. Now the suit power Blitz is kind of fun. Does it make you feel like it's Speedster? No, not really. Like the effect makes you think so, but you're not. I tried. I tried swinging with the ability on and I didn't really go any faster. Okay, so what about running instead? That would make sense. Maybe ever slightly, but it's whatever still. But hey, at least with this ability active, you can run around, mowing enemies down, and you have to wait to use it again. And it is a bit of a wait, so it's just I'm just gonna put it at a C. That feels right. Another brand new costume from the comics. It's the all new, all different suit, or as they refer to it as, the Spider Armor MK4 suit. And it is the 4th iteration of Spider Armors, technically. Now this is a really neat take on the classic suit design, which he acquired from his own company, Parker Industries. So like, remember when Doc Ock took over his body? Well, he did a bunch of shenanigans, including making his own company. But in the end, when things were getting a little too crazy, Doc Ock finally realized that Peter was just the better Spider-Man, the superior Spider-Man. So with his body back and a whole ass company, he made a new suit to wear around, until it got destroyed and he pretty much burned down the company. But hey, it was cool for a little bit. For armor layered on top of his actual costume underneath, I really like this design. And the choice of this minty green for the lenses and the hue around his logo. Not only that, I like how kind of vibrant this suit is. It feels shiny and like some layered metallic armor. It's fun to see around during the day and the night. It's genuinely a very fun costume and I wish I wore it more often. I might honestly give it a 10 because I don't really find anything I dislike about it. It's just a cool classic suit alternative design that's more metallic and in the spirit of Spider Armors. It's not too clunky like the Ends of the Earth or too sleek like Bulletproof. It feels good. And with the Anat suit, we have the last protection ability. This suit power, defensive shield, essentially allows you to be pretty much protected by everything. Punches, guns, rockets too. Honestly, it might be better out of the 3. Actually, it feels like a direct upgrade to the Bulletproof power and the Ends of Earth power. I made my case how it wasn't really worth it with those 2 powers, but with this, you're literally invulnerable and you literally don't need to dodge. You could just keep fighting and just until it runs out. It's a pretty tantalizing power because I can remember many moments, you know, being surrounded by a bunch of enemies and popping this would be kind of a lifesaver. So I'll stick it to a B, a high B. It is a good power, I'll admit it, but the other suit powers offer much better utility at a faster cost or eliminate threats quicker. Okay, it's actually called Spirit Spider, but Ghost Spider makes sense. Because, you know, Ghost Rider, right? Ghost Rider, Ghost Spider, it has a ring to it. The only reason they changed it is because Spider-Gwen is called Ghost Spider. Because why would people call her Spider-Gwen when she's, you know, trying to have a whole secret identity thing going on, right? With that out of the way, I bet you're wondering, why is Spider-Man the spirit of vengeance? Well, I hope you're sad that, well, no shit, you're saying that. Okay, well, one day, Spider-Man, Hulk, and Deadpool were transported to another universe. One where Bruce Banner is actually Doctor Strange. Deadpool is Death Wish. Well, technically he's Doctor Doom, don't worry about it. And Spider-Man is the most powerful superhero on the planet. He took on Thanos, Annihilus, even taking down Galactus. To the point, he's basically the only superhero on the planet as others kind of just stopped or retired. He's got a spider cave, and he even wears a cape. To top it off, his Uncle Ben is alive. Wow, this guy seems pretty cool. I sure hope Uncle Ben was able to teach him the right things considering he's still alive. Oh, that's a lot of dead Peters. Oh. So the Uncle Ben of this universe may be a little evil. I don't think he took the bullet very well, teaching Peter instead with great power comes the responsibility to stay powerful. Luring alternative Spider-Man to this dimension, siphoning their powers to add on to this Spider-Man, making him uber powerful. In the end though, with our Spider-Man messing with this guy's head, he was able to get the upper hand for Uncle Ben to fry him accidentally, killing him. Or they say he got put into a coma, But either way, he ended up in hell anyways, where Doctor Strange Banner decided after some stuff that happened with Hulk, don't worry about it, gave this Peter a second chance, allowing him to become the Ghost Spider. Wow, that took a little bit, but I felt it was important to understand and really emphasize this costume, because there's not that much to say besides the obvious, the fact that there's a flaming blue skull on his head, instead of the orange flame of a typical Ghost Rider, with a prominent white look on him. Yet they added this cool blue hue around his lower arms and lower body. I suppose they didn't want to make him entirely white. I do like the spider on his front. Maybe it could have been cooler if it was a little larger or something. I like it though. However, I don't like this fat ass spider on his back. To me, it feels like a black blob with some spider arms crawling out of it. It's whatever. Also, I don't like his feet. Could have just gone boot shaped instead. It's the same problem I have for Venom when they put feet on him. When I find it much better that he's got a boot-shaped feet instead of putting toes on the dude. I just don't like it. Other than that though, this is a solid costume. A cool take on the Spider-Man possessing and looking like Ghost Rider in his own way. He feels muscly too for some reason, and of course, the skull on his face is the coolest part of the costume. I'll put that a 7. It's a neat costume. His suit power is... It's called Spirit Fire. Blue flames will surround you that I think stun enemies or like just light them on fire, but he punches with fire and I think his hits are harder. I don't know, I never felt the damage change honestly, and even though the blue flame is supposed to hurt enemies, it kind of felt like nothing to them. It does look cool though, but honestly it's kind of just a laughable ability and it runs out super quick too. So I'm going to put it at a D above the wrestler's power. It could be like a lower C, but I feel the wrestler's suit power is feeling a little lonely down there by itself. So yeah, D. This is, I suppose, an upgraded suit for Miguel O'Hara, because he was stuck in the past for the time being because the future was a little screwed up at the moment. So while he's sticking around in the present, he has a job at Parker Industries, and Peter decides to hook him up with a new costume thanks to his company. So he's able to do a lot more stuff, like flying. It's a cool look for him, and honestly, there was bound to be a costume change for Spider-Man 2099 that happened in a run. I like how they kept the overall aesthetic of the red, with the logo on the front much more larger and imposing, with a white matte fiber look on him. It honestly reminds me of the Shattered Dimensions look. So I suppose if I wanted the Shattered Dimensions 2099 look, I guess I got him in this form. I also like the shape of his helmet, although I do miss the design of his eyes from his actual costume. You know how menacing and sort of stretched it was. And the overall gray is fine. It's got some blue LED lights added on there, and he's still got his sharp talons and on his fingers too. Overall, I think this is just another cool armored look for Spidey in this game. Sadly, I never use it as much, but I might start wearing it from now on. You know, whenever I decide to pop this game up again. I'll give it an 8. I also feel like there's still something missing on his back, and there isn't anything on there anyways in the comics, but regardless, it, still feels empty back there. Ah well. And with this costume comes the suit power, Concussion Strikes, allowing you to send enemies flying with your punches and dealing more damage too, I think. I think this power is suited for when you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, you pop this and start punching, giving you some breathing room. Now that doesn't sound that bad, but I usually, zip away or for a web bomb. And you can still chase enemies down when you punch them, but I don't know. There are just other better powers that can just eliminate the things or give you a breathing room rather than sending singular people flying away. So I'll stick it to a high C. Here we have a really cool recolor of the classic suit in this game. However, I just have one problem, and it's not even with the costume itself, more so the name. Calling it the vintage comic book suit is kind of a lie. Really, this suit should be called the cell shaded suit, because that's what it is, just a recolor of the classic suit from this game. Really, it's called a vintage comic book suit because it's supposed to reflect and give a vibe of how Spider-Man kind of looked like in other comics. Actually, I have another problem. Why not just make his actual first costume that he ever wore, like the one on the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15? That would have been quite literally the coolest thing ever and fitting of the name vintage comic book suit. But they instead just gave him the coloring in effect resembling that look and how he was shaded and colored in the comics, which I don't mind, I guess, now that I think about it. Ooh, okay, instead how about you call it vintage style suit? Or wait, vintage comic book style suit. Now that's a mouthful. Anyways, with the rant out of the way, this is a really cool suit. He's really vibrant yet dark at the same time, depending on the lighting and where he's at. So you could get this bright red and blue look, or a red and black look on him. Three of my favorite things about this guy is how there's this newspaper kind of aesthetic on him when you get close enough. The second is how his eyes are just always popping. And the third is a spider on his— holy shit, what happened to the fucking sun? I hadn't realized how cool it was until I just looked at it. I love this back logo. It just stands so much more than, you know, than the actual classic suit. Now, as I said before, this is just a recolor of the classic suit of this game, but a really, really good one. You can swing around with this thing during the day, sunset, and night, and still look good. So I'm just gonna have to give it a 9. It's literally just a name that throws me off, because when you tell me you're gonna give me a vintage comic book suit, I expect this fucking costume, okay? Don't lie to me next time, I swear to God. Now, this suit power has got to be the coolest and funniest one, plus useful too. Quips. Literally allows you to quip. Spider-Man quipping unique dialogue, stunning enemies around him, and it charges super quickly. So you can pop this sucker a bunch and annoy the hell out of the bad guys, and you're actually benefiting from it. Easy S tier. I'd still choose the other superpowers above it, but I can't lie that this thing is not only funny and fitting, but also really reliable too. Finally, just finally, we're on to my favorite costume. If I had to pick a favorite costume among a lot of the other ones, this is the one. I put this shit on in Gary's mod. I put this shit on in Minecraft. And I put this shit on in this game. I think this game is how I was properly introduced to the Last Stand suit. You know, besides looking at some vague comp panels in the past. And it's such a cool and intriguing costume, I'd say. Sure, you got a freaking Ghost Spider-Man, but I was more interested in this suit. Like, what's going on with this guy? I went over a little bit in the Edging of Time video, a little synopsis, but thanks to a few comments and remembering seeing a comment panel of Peter holding the concept of the suit on a piece of paper, I definitely forgot that there is more to this costume's inception and origin. It all ties back to this guy Spider-Man comes across. His name is Leo Zelensky, a tailor, someone who helps tailor costumes for not only superheroes, but bad guys too. Why does he cater towards the bad guys and good guys? Well, you don't question a guy behind the counter taking your order, do you? Everybody's gotta wear clothes. Sorry, nudist. He's just doing his job, earning money, has a grandson, just a guy who knows how to tailor, and let's say he had some critiques when it came to Spider-Man's costume. So when Spider-Man saved his life later on in the same issue, he drew Peter up a new suit. Instead of having to put on this whole ass costume, you know, being stuck with it, it's not made for convenience like eating or like having a chit chat in a restaurant. But with this new design Leo made for him, it is made for convenience, for casual wear. See, the jacket on the outside with the mask, of course, he's Spider-Man, he's the symbol. But turn it inside out, it's just a normal jacket and you just put on some normal pants and bam, you're a civilian again. It's made for ease, and as Leo will put it, the Spider-Man of the future. However, Spider-Man did see the future, some issues earlier actually. He saw exactly a kind of future where he wore this costume, making his last stand and dying. Of a Spider-Man who decided to cross a couple of lines leading him to his death. So Peter, seeing this costume design that this guy drew up, probably didn't sit right with him, and maybe gave him some existential dread. Besides that, it only fused my love for this costume more. I already went over why I like the idea of this Peter in the other video, but to go over the functionality and origin of this costume makes it even better. I think the jacket is generally the coolest thing ever. A leather jacket Spider-Man with this dark blackish with a hint of gray, plus leather gloves that go along with the same color scheme. Not to mention this guy's got a good fat spider on his back so it's not empty back there. And just the casualness of these dark jeans he has on, with some boots on, just completes the whole look of this rugged Spider-Man. Now I left the mask for last because, you know, I love it, but I also have one issue with it. It's just this weird contrasting red of this, you know, bright red with this dark red of the jacket. It's very strange. Everything else I love. The fact that there's no webbing on it. There's these cool subtle lines. It's literally just the color tone that's just weirding me out. Overall, I love this costume. Despite my problem with the mask, I could literally just ignore it, and I do. Kind of. I could headcanon it to be, you know, just a mask that he puts on because, you know, the whole concept of the costume that I talked about earlier. But I'll put it out of 10. If this costume does come back in Spider-Man 2 and it's tweaked better, then this PS4 version will drop to a 9. But for now, I love it, okay? It's good. I like it. Of course, with the last stand comes with the suit power, Unrelenting Fury. A fitting power because with this activated, your attacks will literally go through shields and big dudes without needing to web them up or something. Making me think about how he went through all those officers during his last stand. Now I think it's a pretty useful power, although you can't do more damage or anything, you could just literally start punching everybody without the need to make an opening. I like it, and I'll put it at an S. Although other powers I do feel are better than this one, I just like using this one just to start going ham on everybody without having to worry about shields or anything like that. So it's an S for me. So with these costumes, I'm kind of going in order, like all the costumes you can get from like leveling up and going through the story, and then the unlockables like the dark suit, which in all honesty you can get anytime, and it's like the easiest one to get in my opinion, but I feel it made sense to talk about it now. Now this is an original design made by Black Cat for Peter after doing her side missions in the main game. I feel this is definitely kind of like a callback to when Black Cat made Pete a replica of the black suit for him in the comics, but of course since he hasn't acquired the symbiote or wore anything super edgy like that, she made this instead. This is of course super edgy. Instead of a white spider, it's a dark red one, with accompanying red lenses that do move, with some cool talons or claws on his fingers, all on top of a really black costume. It's such a dark costume that when you look closely, there's stuff like this metallic accent, with some great paddings. With fake lines of course, because why not add lines, fuck you. Again, though, you wouldn't really notice unless you're like in cutscenes or looking at it in photo mode. It's just so dark, you know, because it's called the dark suit. I never minded this costume. I think it's cool, but also whatever at the same time. It's a decent unlock for doing a side mission, and I can imagine someone wearing this because they think it's a badass look. So I'll put it at a 7. It's a neat costume. Unfortunately, and fortunately for me, this costume doesn't come with a suit power. There's only 2 more costumes that do, and we'll go over those after this next unlockable costume that you will presumably get before beating the game. I remember not being the biggest fan of this costume because I was younger and stupider. Since time passed and new movies came out, this costume is surprisingly less brought up, I feel, funny enough. Hell, it's not even used in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show. Instead going with a different homemade costume, which I find whatever. I would have loved if they used this one, because it's such a vibrant, colorful costume of a Spider-Man starting out, trying to help out. My appreciation of this costume really grew. I mean, I never wore this suit, but I like it for what it is. The red and especially the blue I like. I like his spider logo he put on his chest of the sleeveless hoodie. Although he didn't put a spider on his back, just adds to the homemade aesthetic. Like his goofy ass red high boots or these goggles he stitched onto the mask. It's a cool reward for getting all the backpacks, and if you're like me, who already loves swinging around and getting cool lore and nods from these backpacks, it means you'll get this costume soon enough to maybe try around and be like, neat, which is where I'll put this costume at, just neat. Although maybe it's an 8 because I think it's such a cool rendition of the MCU Spider-Man costume before, you know, fully becoming the Spider-Man we know and love. I don't know, might be an 8. The ultimate conclusion to the main story of this game, where Peter builds a costume to combat Dr. Octopus, using the same materials and idea, making the anti-Ock suit. It was such a neat surprise to see Peter making a whole new costume to fight Doc Ock. When he puts this thing on, with him adjusting his lenses and then the whole reveal, this metallic black and yellow tinged suit really makes it a badass look. This costume is really based off the advanced suit, you know, just worn over it really, as you can see it when it gets damaged underneath. I love the way the white spider now is this neon yellow that expands and runs down his chest. Other parts of the suit lights up, but I really like this black metallic look underneath it all. Like a suit of armor with these ridges and edges and splits. Also the yellow, if you look closely enough, has this honeycomb kind of texture, which I thought was neat. Overall, I think this is a underrated costume. A suit perfect for the conclusion of the game that brings the story to a fitting end. And a cool unlock after you beat the game to swing around and fight in. I'll give this costume a 10. I really think this costume is all that, and like I said, underrated. And this costume comes with a suit power that you would use in the final boss, Resupply. An underrated costume comes with an underrated ability that allows you to reload your gadgets, so you can shoot as many webs as you want. Hell, throw out as many web bombs too. Even a bunch of little spider robots. Or whatever you want, really. So I'm just gonna make this an S. I really wish I used this more, but I prefer other abilities personally, as I don't use gadgets all that much. But if you did, then this power must have been something special.
Alright. Hey man, this look pretty good, man. Where your clothes at?
You think for 100% completing an open world Spider-Man game like this one, you get a cool ass costume. What if it's like the black suit like in the Amazing Spider-Man 1? Or maybe an original design like the others? At least he's packing. This might be the easiest costume I have ever had to talk about. Like, quite literally, he's just in his underwear with the mask from the advanced suit. And he has his web shooters too. I guess it shows off this Peter's physique at least. You know, he's neither super buff or skinny, kinda like an in-between, which I felt they struck a good balance. He's even got the 3 chest hairs he jokingly noted at the beginning of the game. Now the question is this a good unlockable costume for 100%ing the game? That's kinda up to you. I mean, if you find the idea of wearing an almost naked Spider-Man swinging around New York in your undies, then sure. But if you expected an actual costume, then I could see this being a bit of a disappointment. And I don't blame you. I can see both sides and I get both of you guys. So I guess it only makes sense to put this thing at a 5. It's a funny quote-unquote suit, but I personally don't think it's a really good unlock. Definitely interesting though to have a bare naked Spidey in a game you can swing around in. Yeah, it's funny. And funny enough, with this costume, we can finally bring an end to the tier list of suit powers. With undies, you get the suit power Equalizer to one-shot enemies. However, the caveat being you also get one-shotted. So if you get hit with health, no matter what, you will die. Is this a goofy power? Yeah. But is it useful? Hypothetically, maybe? If you go on a rampage using this ability without getting hit, then yeah, but considering the jankiness of the dodging, you might get unlucky. Also, this suit power takes so long to be able to use it again. It's like, it's so wacky. I'm just gonna put it at a C sandwiched between these powers. And that concludes this tier list of suit powers. If you want to move things around yourself, I'll link it below in the description and comment. But hey, we still got some DLC costumes to get to, and oh boy, these are some really neat costumes they brought to the game, and for new people experiencing it. So let's talk about the first suit you can wear in the City That Never Sleeps DLC expand. Who the fuck are you? So I remember for a while, I never knew this costume existed. If you can even call this a costume. If you thought the undie suit was a disappointing unlock, then imagine your face when you realize there's these hidden photo locations that don't appear on the map, and if you really want to go hunting for them, you'd have to unlock the very last suit thingy to see it. Except it's only on your minimap, which makes it a pain. So you spend the better while swinging around, you gave up using the minimap and just looked up a map on Google. You probably begin to get bored, so you pull out music or a podcast to listen to, but you know that when you finally finish this, then you're gonna get something really special out of it. I wonder how many people forgot this thing existed, or didn't know it existed, because I didn't for a little while, until I saw it on some Spider-Man video and went, oh, okay. And yeah, quite literally, this is just Spider-Man, wearing a t-shirt, repping his college, and some pants and shoes. At least the undies was funny, but this is just nothing. Now, I know some of you guys like casual clothing on superheroes. I too like it here and there, we're both freaks. It's okay, it's a safe place here. But this feeling like some sort of secret Easter egg, and you gotta go out of your way snapping 50 more fucking pictures, and God forbid if you miss one, which I did, so you gotta retrace your steps, and thankfully I remembered which district I felt like I missed one, so I finally found it, and took my anger out on the locals. I'm over exaggerating a little bit, it doesn't take that long, but I guess what I'm trying to say here is that I don't think this is a good reward, and kind of lessens this suit's impact. Like, it'd be much better if this was unlocked alongside on these when you do 100% this game. Either way, there are some people who like to feel this vibe, but hey, this ain't no vigilante spider. So I'm sadly gonna have to put this at a 4. I get it. I really do casual clothing audience, but let's think realistically here, okay? I feel like that's where it should be. I hope you guys know, I forgot about this costume. I forgot to get footage of it because I just simply forgot this thing existed, I guess. And to be honest, it is kind of a forgettable costume, even though it's got some cool stuff to it. I don't need to go over any comic stuff because this is also another suit design just for this game, so it's unique as well. I'm just not that into this costume, sadly. Firstly, it's just this blue body he has. Like, this leotard look that feels kinda empty on his lower body and even on his chest too, with the spider logo just meshing with the blue. However, on the back it's more prominent. Now, I don't hate this suit entirely. I like the silver parts on the costume. I actually like the red parts much more, and those eyes of his. Now, when researching and looking up stuff, these kinds of aggressive, intense lens shape is more associated with an artist called Gabriel Del Otto. The way he draws Spider-Man, which is by the way beautiful, you could see this intense expression he draws that is just undeniably cool, and of course reminds me of Web of Shadows. Other than the shape of his lenses, the rest of his body is just kind of boring to me. You can't just have one cool thing I like, but then for everything else to not be as cool. Honestly, this costume reminds me of how I feel towards the Secret Wars costume, but hey, the Resilient suit is leagues better, so I'll give it at least a 6. Finally, onto a costume that I find far more interesting, and it's a pretty important Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse, Spider UK, or William Braddock underneath. He's really a combination of Peter Parker and Brian Braddock, who's Captain Britain. So Spider UK is a part of this group called the Captain Britain Corps, who guard the multiverse or omniverse, I don't know, and I don't feel like getting into that can of worms. We're just talking about this guy, who was part of the Spider-Verse event, helping other spider people, teaming up with 616 Peter. Sadly though, his entire home dimension was destroyed due to the incursion event, which was when the multiverse was pretty much dying with each Earths colliding and stuff. It was a whole thing. But hey, at least he made his home and made friends with the other spider people, protecting the Spider-Verse and continuing to live on and fight the good fight. I really like this design of a British Spider-Man. The UK flag stamped onto his upper body with this fun, light blue color to it, and he's got some unique eyes too, sharing that same sort of intensity from the Resilient suit, but it's not too intensive. I just like his design all around, although my least favorite is the spider on his back, but it's better than nothing, right? So I don't mind. Overall, this is a fun costume, and a great nod to a cool Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. A perfect 7 in my opinion. Hell, maybe an 8. Oh, okay, it's a 7. You ain't gonna convince me that much, pal. You're a neat suit, and may you rest in peace. Now I know the name can be confusing, like, you know, this is Scarlet Spider, but this is also called the Scarlet Spider. But for clarity, this guy is the clone of Peter Parker, Ben Reilly, where this guy is also the clone of Peter Parker called Kane Parker. But I went over him in a previous video, so I'm not gonna get into it again. I just want to look at this costume. I'm sorry. How about you go watch my other video, huh? Now I always liked this costume. I loved how despite it being a simple red bodied suit, with black on top over his shoulders and mask, it was carried by the dude's muscles, his figure. making him a really scary, threatening looking Spider-Man. It was what I liked about it in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. But in this game, Peter lacks a bit of muscle. Sure, he's got it of course, but it's not as defining really. Which is why I guess they decided to add these lines with this ever so slightly darker red with texture on it. Not only that, but there's these red lines on his shoulders, collarbones, and behind his mask, which he usually really doesn't have. I'd rather much prefer if it was just, you know, all black on top. It's so strange because when you're doing your thing, you don't really pay attention to these lines on his costume. You know, it's the Scarlet Spider, yay. But when this darkish red on the suit appears, you know, the lines, it feels busy on his costume when the suit is generally never supposed to be that. Ah well, this costume is still carried by its edginess. Those big red lenses, and he's got some cool sharp fingers. So I'll just shrug and give him a 6. You know, at least we got the Scarlet Spider to swing around. You know, I just think it's alright. Oh man, this guy is a nice sight to see. It really just makes me remember having the suit as a power-up in the Neversoft Spider-Man, or how cool it was swinging around this thing in the Wii version of Web of Shadows. What's there to not love about this guy? A silver-plated armored Spider-Man with this cool black and gray underneath. I actually like the lines they added cutting through the gray, because it's not overdone and you can barely notice it too. The addition of the gray itself just adds on to the black as well. The only thing I miss about this guy is the cool plating that were on the soles of his boot. Changed to this more basic design I feel. Everything else though, feels great. Not only that, wearing this thing was a blast when I was fighting in an enemy compound during the second DLC, where I put on a goddamn show during my second attempt. Yeah, I meant to do that. God damn, it felt cool punching people and dodging like crazy. I like this costume a lot. It feels simple, just a silver-plated Spider-Man. It's a good beginning that began the tradition of armors he would wear. So I'll give this dude an easy 10. He feels pretty lifted straight from the comics, and although you might find it boring, I like it. I don't care. It feels like a shoo-in, honestly, to have this costume. Although now there's this kind of confusion, like, this is called Iron Spider armor, and that one's called Iron Spider suit. I didn't want to overthink it though, so this is just called the Iron Spider armor. Or more fittingly, really, just Iron Spider. When Iron Man built this for Peter in his own Iron Man flair. Although this suit kinda got tarnished because of the whole Civil War event, it's a cool look for Spidey. Hell, I'll admit it, which I'm pretty sure I have. I was never a fan of this costume. I just wasn't when I was younger. It's only when I got older I slowly grew to like it. Sadly, I only got more stupider as well. But man though, they did a really cool job bringing the suit to the game. Not only does it got everything as you want from the Iron Spider, but they added these cool ass blue lights that act like repulsors on his palms, but you know, they're only for show, while also adding the same thing below his feet. So they really look neat when swinging on during the night. They even added this blue light emitting from the middle of his chest, again another nod to Iron Man. And they also decided to add some silver lines that don't break up the red that much, just adding onto his suit. Which is what Fortnite strangely did too, and I like their interpretation as well. What else is there to say that I haven't already said about this costume? Well, actually there is one more thing. With the suit power from the MCU's Iron Spider, they decided to recolor the arms to these golden ones, just like the comics. Sadly though, it doesn't come out of the yellow circle on his back, and if you look even closer, you can see the texture from the MCU suit bulging out a little. But come on, I'll give it a pass. And it just makes wearing this costume, accompanied by suit power, much more awesomer. An easy 10. There's no ifs or buts, it's the Iron Spider, and I can't deny that it's just good. Okay, I didn't have any intro footage for this guy, so it's a Spider Clan suit, alright? We're like way too deep into this. We're like an hour or so into this. Just give me this one, okay? Just give me this one. Okay, here we have the Spider Clan suit once again, showing up for the first time in Shattered Dimensions, and while they were kinda lazy in that game for understandable reasons, likely rushing to get the game out or something, this guy is an exact rip of a dude and how he looks like from the comics. As you can imagine, this Peter comes from an Earth, or what it's really called, the Mangaverse, where he's like Spider-Man, but more so a ninja, who fights against Venom and the Shadow Clan. So he's gonna, of course, look a little different, you could say. But I like the way he looks and is characterized. Sporting this huge wrap sort of gauntlets and having this webless torso, although his mask does have webbing on it, with a weird head shape, I don't mind it. Although I don't put this guy on at all, I can appreciate it, because he's very underutilized, and is never really brought up all that much except for the Spider-Verse events. He's a unique Spider-Man to say the least, so he deserves a 7. Hey, even his eyes are able to emote as well, so that's cool too. Another Spider armored look. We only have like one more armored look for Spidey in this game, but for now, we're talking about Aaron Aikman, who has his own unique and cool looking spider armor he wears. This guy's a scientist who underwent some secret experiment, getting spider powers, and so he built his own suit to fight crime and yada yada. You get to deal with these guys. But man, this guy came up with some cool cybernetic armor to wear and swing around in. My two favorite things about this guy is the navy blue coloring and his mask or helmet. His lenses are not the only thing, but are accompanied by other small shaped sort of looking lenses, although I think they're just decorative. The other thing that stands out about this guy are probably his big ass jet looking boots. Up to you if you like him or not, but you know, I do. It just gives this guy some more flair and, you know, adds on to the cybernetic look going on. And although he doesn't have a spider on his back, I don't mind it. I just appreciate the blue coloring and how lettery it is with these blue ridges. Now, I don't really know where to put this guy. I think he either fits perfectly at an 8 or a 7. So it's a tie between those two numbers for me. I think he's cool and has a unique looking armor that stands out among other spider armors we've seen. If you want pure 90s energy, then you got it with this guy. Now if you're like me, you've led yourself to believe that this guy got his arm ripped out or something, and his eye is gone or whatever, right? But no, he's completely fine. That's just a cast on his arm, and that's just a replacement for his lenses. He's still wearing the suit that's just been, you know, patched up and stitched after he was taken care of by a scientist or whatever. If you're wondering who fucked him up this badly, it was the Sinister Six. So yeah, with that out of the way, this is just a cool ass nod, and they were pretty smart to reuse the classic suit of this game. You got this badass cybernetic arm, this cool headband, and green looking night vision goggle that does move, by the way. And of course, he's also wearing belt with pouches on it for whatever reason. Again, this was just a style at the time when everybody had like pouches and had to look cool as hell, which is why this guy literally wore this look just for one issue, only for the next issue where this Peter goes back to wearing his normal costume. I'm surprised how much I like this guy. He's just so campy, and if you don't like it, then let me convince you this other way. If you're a fan of, you know, Metal Gear, you can look at Cyborg Spider-Man as some sort of like Venom Snake sort of Spider-Man, you know? When I think about it in that way too, I think it's just, you know, silly and funny, and it just makes the suit cool. Even though his arm is in a cast, you could just pretend his arm is gone and is replaced with a cybernetic one if you want. So with that, I'm gonna put this guy at an 8. Very campy, very fun. For the last DLC costume, they gave us the suit that Peter wore from Into the Spider-Verse. A really fun, cool looking suit that feels just ripped from the movie. He's built like Peter from the movie too. His eyes even emote, it's just so good. Just look at him go, it's so cool. I love the way this guy is looked and is shaped. His upper body is just more framed and the red in the middle is more closer together. Not only that, he's got like this effect on him, kind of like the vintage suit, but it's more so the aesthetic from the movie itself. Now here's me showing my stupidity again, so again, please, I'm stupid. But the blue on him looks like blue, right? So tell me, why do I see some hint of purple? Some indigo perhaps? Is it just me? Please don't tell me it's just me. It doesn't ruin the costume or anything. I just want to know. I'm scared. Green, now blue. I don't want to have to worry about blue, because blue is the fucker's color 24/7 in a lot of costumes, okay? I really don't want to worry about being blind to blue. But man, I just love this costume. He's just awesome. I don't know what else to say. An easy, easy 10. I'm just more worried about my eyes than anything, okay? On December 21st of 2018, I'm pretty sure I have that date correct, in update 1.13, the websuit was given for free. This suit, you have to understand, this damn suit, when it came out as a free costume in an update, it felt like Christmas, which ironically enough was around Christmas time. I felt complete. I felt happy. I felt the same feeling when people celebrated when that CEO was murdered. Joy. I feel like to have to talk about this, because before we talk about the costume itself, there was some controversy. Because people really wanted this costume, and you know, understandably so, it's the Raimi suit. So when it wasn't part of the base game or through DLC, people were mad, especially on Twitter. I mean, who would have guessed it? Now, from what it seems, it's just, you know, people being pricks and jerks and, you know, complaining. Now, to the degree of how many people were complaining is, I'm not entirely too sure, but there does seem to be, you know, harassments. I don't know to the level of harassment, like death threats, I don't know about that, but you know, it's just how it is on Twitter. For example, like this tweet here, where this guy was like, come on, you said you guys were listening. And they pretty much responded, said, we do hear you guys, but listening to you guys all the time doesn't mean we're gonna act on it or follow it. Literally, this guy puts it best when this dumbass tried to be smarmy and putting it as an analogy of going to a restaurant and making a request, only for this dude to reply to the dumbass and putting it as if you're going to a restaurant and asking for something that's not on the menu and then getting angry over it. And it's not like they were never gonna add it. In fact, I'm pretty sure this costume was going to come to the game. Hell, I actually found a tweet from Insomniac saying it's been in the works. The community director, James Stevenson, at the time said so, saying they clearly never stopped listening, that things just take a long time, and in that their intent clearly seemed that they really wanted to put it in the game from the beginning. I feel like I needed to address this because this shit does happen. It's more important to not be like these people because they exist. Don't be annoying, harassing, a douche when it comes to something like wanting a costume in a game because you're going to be a bitch about it. With that out of the way, let's actually talk about the costume, and you know, it's a good thing I went on a little rant beforehand because I don't have much to mention about the costume itself that I haven't already said. It's a really good websuit they made for this game. It feels so good to swing around. The only thing I really sort of have an issue with is the webbing itself. I love the raised webbing, right? But at certain times, it can be a little much. Like, it's too shiny at times and distracting, but other times it feels just right. It's weird, but honestly, I can just ignore it. It's the websuit. It's what I and many other people wanted, and we have it. For free, by the way. So I'm just grateful it did happen. I'm just sorry so many people were being pricks over on Twitter and being whiny as hell. I'm gonna give this costume a 9. Now, it's not a 10, because I know for a fact this costume does return in the second game, and it's actually tweaked. So I can't wait to see how it looks in that game when we cover it, because I can imagine it looks better than this one. But hey, this one isn't that bad either, and did the job. On January 28, 2019, in Update 1.14, we were given 2 free costumes, the Bombastic Bagman and the Future Foundation costume, both fantastic.
Say that again?
It's nice to see this guy return, and I've grown over time, improving my character arc so to say, to liking the Bombastic Bagman and appreciating the goofy costume. I think it just helps that there's, you know, a bunch of other costumes to wear. Instead of a less fitting costume, this guy comes with a really good Fantastic Four suit that Insomniac made. It's surprisingly well done and makes you wonder how the actual Fantastic Four members will look in this universe. Of course, the main staple of this guy is the bag over his head, looking goofy as ever, but accompanying it is these strawn shaped lenses over the eye holes, which I like even though I wouldn't have minded if the holes were just reshaped to be comically larger or something. The only thing that is missing from this guy is the Kick Me paper taped to his back. Without it, the soul is just gone. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but seriously, it would have been nice and completed the Bombastic Bagman look. I mean, I don't really mind that it's gone, but I can't deny that I do miss it, and it would have been just great. I'm gonna put this guy at an 6. Yeah, I like the costume. I like the bag. If he could have just put the damn paper on his bag, would have been a 7. Maybe an 8 if I was nicer. Who am I kidding? It's a 7. Along with the bombastic bag, man, came the Future Foundation suit. A fantastic,
again?
fuck off, a great costume, and one that I sorta semi-enjoy. The prominent white with the black on his sides, caught up from the white whizzing through. He's a slick bastard, but my main issue has always been those bulbous ass eyes of his. I like how reflective they are, but man, they are just jutting out. I've just never been that into it. Like I said, I love everything else of the costume. It's just those damn eyes. Ah well, I like seeing this costume come back. I've talked about it before. I talked about the stealth version of it too, funny enough, but yeah. The lenses are just the only thing holding me back on it. I'll give it a 7 though. Still a good costume. On July 2nd, 2019, with update 1.16, we were given 2 free costumes from the movie Far From Home. The first being the costume he makes, I guess you could say, during the 3rd act of the movie. Now the game calls it the upgraded suit, but I've always just seen it as the Far From Home suit myself. Now I like this costume. Instead of the common red and blue Spider-Man we've always been associated with, this time he's sporting a red and black look. Kinda reminded me of the shading or the way he was colored back in the day, or how he's sometimes drawn even. Not only is there this black on him, but his sleeves are gone, which usually gets a groaning sigh out of me, but I actually don't mind it, sorta. It's okay, and he's got these cool fingerless gloves, plus 2 new spider logos, with the one on his back being more prominent, with this white sorta modern design. Like I said, I like this design of Spider-Man. Going with a black instead of a blue is rather decent and kind of a big change honestly. So yeah, I'm gonna give this costume an 8. I like it. It's even in Fortnite too, and I like it there. So yeah. Okay, I was debating on calling it either Night Monkey, right? Or the stealth suit as it's referred in the game, and what it really is. But Night Monkey is a funny name, so we're calling it that. If I remember correctly, he wears his costume because he complained to Skrull Nick Fury that Spider-Man can't be seen outside of the US. So they gave him this suit instead. Anyways, for what it's actually meant, right, being the stealthy, covert suit, it's a pretty cool looking one, I'll admit it. It's such a tactical look for Spidey, and does what it says. He's got this sort of ballistic Kevlar armor with bulletproof vest, with some more tactical flair all over this guy. Looking at the back of his costume too, it's just cool looking. And I like how his mask, being more of a ski mask, has him put on the straps, kind of like night vision goggles, but instead of goggles, it's his Spidey lenses. And I don't know what else to say. If you like a cool tactical looking Spidey, then here you go. He's not colorful and doesn't even have anything Spider-Man on him themed, and you know, that's kind of the point. So I'll give Night Monkey an 8. It's cool to wear during stealth, but I much prefer Noir over this guy any day. On November 22nd, 2020, with update 1.19, we were given 3 new costumes. The other ones are sadly overlooked, and for good reason, because the first costume is the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. And for a while, I thought this was exclusive to the remastered or something. So you bet your bottom dollar, when I re-downloaded this game one day, scrolled to look at costumes and saw this? Oh, goodness gracious, this costume feels ripped from the goddamn movie. I don't feel any sort of change unlike the Raimi suit. You got everything here with this guy. You got the basketball texture, you got the skinny edged spider logos, you got the sunglass lenses, the soles on his boots that he got from some sneakers are there. They even gave him his unique web shooters too. It's quite literally the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. What else is there to say? I love this leotard looking Spider-Man. Even if I have issues with some of the lines that are just there, I can overlook them, giving this dude an easy 10. This costume is just that good. On to the other two costumes after that meat riding I gave. This is the Arachnid Rider suit. And while, looking at this thing for this video, it gave me Kamen Rider vibes, which I jokingly said about the damn Hornet suit in the last video because I could. But with this costume, there was intent. It's apparently inspired from manga and anime, even also inspired by a Kamen Rider called Kamen Rider Towser or Tozer. I don't know jack about Kamen Rider. I think they look and do awesome stuff, but seeing the resemblance here is pretty interesting. So if you got any good recommendations on how I can get started off into this, series or something with a movie perhaps, then let me know. I never paid much mind to this costume to be honest, but seeing how very, anime and Kamen Rider Spider it is, it's a really cool look. The highlights being how colorful and shaded he is, with some jagged looks on him and a cool looking helmet. His face or helmet especially I like, with this blue horn and this sort of mask he has with these yellow tinted eyes. The only thing I don't really like is the spider on his chest and more so on his back. I don't really like the coloring choice all that much, but hey, at least it's cool looking. With all of that in mind, I'll give it a 7. It's a neat costume. If you want to feel like a Power Ranger or a Kamen Rider, then just put this thing on and swing around and fight crime. And technically, the last costume is the Armored Advanced Suit. So you guys like how the White Spider looked on the Advanced Suit, right? But what if the fucker was just covered in it? Yeah, no one's gonna hurt him now. It's a very, how should I put it, garish looking costume. Like, it's a pretty white looking costume akin to Future Foundation or the 2099 Armored Suit. But this one's broken up by the red webbing on the side of his hip or on his arms and his chest. The red is even plated too, not just fabric. And he's got this helmet shaped mask of course, with some lines on it, but the rims on his lenses are not red. I don't really know how to feel about this guy. Like, I get it, I think it's kinda cool and all that, but I don't know. Did we really want another variation of an armored Spider-Man when we already have a few or so? I do like the white matte and the black underneath. It just feels a bit much, and I think that's what they were going for. Making this souped up Spider-Man. But it's just not for me. A younger me would have liked it, but not anymore. I'll give it a 6. It's not bad or anything, but I prefer to wear other armored looks than this one. But I'll put this one on once in a while if I feel like it. You're just alright man, but I didn't ask for you. After a while, that was really the last update the game got, I think. Those were the final costumes for the game. The remaster was already out by now, so that was it. Or so we thought. On December 10th, 2021, with update 1.006 patch, we got 2 brand spanking new costumes, a week before the new Spider-Man movie came out, No Way Home, promoting the movie with both of these suits. The first one being the hybrid suit that Spidey gains from Doc Ock after helping him. I just want to quickly thank my best friend Joshua, or he's known as Unfinished Quest on YouTube. He's never gonna finish that quest. He's the one responsible for getting the footage of the 2 costumes, and he's also responsible for getting me the footage of the battle damage suit. And I didn't feel like buying remastered, so thank you again. So I kind of have some issues with this costume, that being unnecessary. Like, we didn't need this costume, okay? And if we're gonna get a new costume, then I don't know, how about making a new costume than rather just putting this gold plated spider on his chest and back? And if you didn't feel like doing that, then just reuse the goddamn Far From Home suit. Now, I didn't think there was actually anything different. I thought it was just a Far From Home suit underneath and this golden spider on top, but no. There's some added changes that I've never noticed in the movie and with the game. You can clearly see that he has these red lines now, cause we all love added lines, don't we? And there's some golden trims there on the top of his boot. There's some more red lines on his arms, and yeah, I still don't like this costume. Dude, this costume is just so whatever and unneeded and clearly made for merchandising. It makes the Far From Home suit worse, and I can't allow myself to be the one guy that's gonna defend this costume, okay? This is a 5. It's fine. It's not overly horrible, but it's not good either. It's just serviceable, and I don't give a shit. And for the final costume, we have the black and gold suit from the movie he put on briefly when capturing Electro. Honestly, this should just be called the circuit suit or something, because this is the Far From Home suit but turned inside out, which is why there is this circuitry on him. I will say though, this costume is even more unnecessary than the goddamn hybrid suit. These two costumes just exist for merchandising, dude. That's all. And I never, ever cared for this costume in particular. But since we're looking at it more closely, I guess it's just fine. More of a cool alternate color for the Far From Home suit, where the webbing is gold along with his logos, with the black underneath and these faint circuitry. What's cool though is he has the gauntlet that Doctor Strange gave him from the movie, which is a cute nod, I guess. Overall though, this is by far the most uninterested I've ever been towards a costume. It's not doing anything wrong even, it's more so just there. It's quite literally the epitome of a 5, like I don't care. If you like it then I understand, maybe because of the color choice or whatever, but I just don't know. I don't care. I don't care. Gee whiz, dude, that was a lot. And you better not fucking leave, because I still have some things to say. Even though I rated these costumes, I feel there's a suit for everybody to wear and enjoy. So don't take my words too seriously. I just look at them and judge them accordingly on a scale that feels fitting for these costumes. And it's coming from my stupid brain, so yeah. Let me thank my buddy Joshua again for getting footage of the last 2 costumes. I want to thank my son Aries for being adorable. I took this picture with him outside. He has that shit on though. So if you want to support me and my son, give a subscribe and a like. I know when I saw those 2 words, it made the buttons light up or something. It's kind of freaky, I know. Unless it didn't do that, then just ignore what I said. And I want to thank you. Yes, you, for watching this far. And if you want to keep watching, there's the other Spider-Man games I've covered and a video I made before. My friends get touched, parentheses, I watch, parentheses. Here's a little snippet of what you're missing out on. Follow me on Twitch, give yourself a pat on the back, and once again, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. How about that hug?
I don't do hugs.
Yeah, right.
I swear to God, I didn't.
Lift back to the city. I'd swim, but it'd take forever to get the river
I
out of my
didn't. I didn't know that was gonna. I fucking predicted that shit because I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know he was actually gonna go.